And I'm founder of Pure Flow State, and we specialise in sustainable brand strategy for purpose-led businesses. Now, the name Pure Flow State is inspired by the concept of flow state, which was coined by an Hungarian-American psychologist named Michal Csikszentmihalyi to describe a state of being in pure bliss, because you're doing an activity that makes you forget everything else. You're so absorbed in it that you could do whatever it is that you're doing forever. And we work with brands to help them get flowing and into their flow state by aligning everything from the inside outside so they can make the impact with the people that it matters to most. So these sessions are about talking to business owners and brands about how they get into the flow state and how it's affected their business, what tips and tricks they've got for staying in the flow state and running their brands successfully. And hopefully we're going to inspire and make everybody have a little bit of flow in their lives on a Friday. My guest this week is Lianne Wright, and her business is Wright Choice Virtual Assistants. And we're going to talk about flow state in relation to her business and the impact that a period of grief had on her and how she dealt with that. So welcome, Lianne.
Thank you.
Really excited to have you here today.
I know, me too. I've been really looking forward to this. So
excellent.
Yeah, really happy to be here.
Awesome. So I spoke briefly about a period of grief that you had in your life, and you managed to keep a business going all the way through that, even though it was very difficult for you. So can you explain a little bit about the context of what happened and how that disrupted your flow? What was happening before that period? Was your business flowing? Was everything going well? Everything was good?
Yeah, so I think it's ironic, isn't it, sometimes when these things happen, because you think, wow, everything was going well, everything was on track. I'd actually just took over a second business as well.
Wow.
So, talk about sort of filling your plate. So single parent with 3 children, and took on a second business, and everything was kind of going in the right direction. I obviously felt that I was in control and that I had the capacity and the ability to take on this second business. So I was kind of full of energy and really raring to go. And then as these things happen, complete shock. Just the worst possible thing that could have ever happened to us. The father of my children, we got a knock at the door early hours of a Saturday morning, and bear in mind I'd spoken to him on the Friday because we co-parented very respectfully, and we were making plans for the children to be with him on the Saturday. And we had a knock on the door to say that he'd been in a fatal motorbike accident on the Friday evening, and that just turns your world completely upside down, and you just think, what do I do now? How do I carry on?
I suppose the last thing on your mind right then was the business, wasn't it?
Gosh,
least of your worries.
Absolutely, bottom of the pile. Obviously it crossed my mind, and I thought, how am I going to keep these businesses running? Because at the end of that, it's my livelihood. That's how I provide for my children. So of course it crosses your mind, because you think, I can't just completely abandon it, because how will that help us? That's not going to help us in the long term. But you're absolutely right. It just goes to the bottom of the pile, and you just go, everything gets put into perspective, and you think, I've just got to be so present in this moment right now, and we have just got to navigate this. So it was obviously the worst kind of lesson, but such a huge lesson at the same time.
Obviously the children are going to be the focus, because they were quite young at the time, weren't they? And you need to be there for them, and nobody knows how anyone's going to react, and you can't predict how you're going to react in that situation, because it's such a shock, completely out of the blue. And at the end of the day, you still have to move forward and consider how you're going to move forward. So the business was thankfully in a good place before that happened.
Yeah.
So was it difficult for you to keep running the business in a way that, you know, because of the systems and processes that you'd set up to help it run anyway?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, before the accident, I'd been kind of contemplating, you know, how do I want to position myself in my business, you know, and kind of considering what my role in the business looked like. So I'd kind of started to preempt having a more aerial position in the business. So I began putting people, you know, a team together so that the business could obviously continue. And, you know, thank goodness I did, because I don't know what I would have done if it was just me. If it was just me, I honestly don't know how I would have been able to service my clients and continue to keep things going. So I was very lucky in the sense that I could reach out to my team and I could obviously say, look, this is what's happened, this is where we're at, and you know, please just, can I ask you to kind of, you know, continue to look after the clients and, you know, obviously keep me in the loop. So, you know, it wasn't like I had no contact at all, but I had to communicate it to my clients, I had to communicate it to my team, and I just had to be very, very clear about my capacity at that time was going to be, I'm out, you know, for a period of time. I'm out, like, please.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm very, very lucky that I've got long-term, very loyal clients that obviously were compassionate and understanding of me and what I was going through. And also that I've got, you know, people that work with me in my business that I've also built, you know, very, very loyal and good relationships with, where I could trust them to keep things going in my absence.
Yeah.
The second business that I took on, I mean, I'd only had it 30 days. I became the sole director on the 1st of June, and on the 30th of June was the accident. So that was just, but that was a very different business. The nature of the business were very different. Again, there were people in place to kind of, to keep things going. Yeah.
Do you still run that now?
Yeah, you know, I think at the time, prior to the accident, as I said, I kind of wanted, like, you know, give me as much as you can. And I think reflecting on what's happened and certainly what we've been through over the last, you know, well, just over 12 months, it actually made me really reevaluate a lot of things, and it made me question, why am I doing this? What do I really want to do? You know, what's my purpose? What do I love? What's my passion? And actually, in answering all of those questions, you know, it turned out that second business was not a good choice for me. So no is the answer to that. I have stepped out of that, because in all honesty, Wright Choice for me is another baby of mine. You know, it's something I am so passionate about, and I love what I do. And it's very different when I was kind of weighing up, where do I want to put my time? It was very clear to me that the other business was just a distraction and just taking up capacity and resources that I didn't want to sacrifice, basically.
Yeah, because something like that, something so devastating like that, is something that takes, you never get over it completely, because of it's so devastating. And you know, then obviously there's the children who will never get over it.
Absolutely.
Either they learn to live with it, and they will obviously continue with their lives, but it's always going to be there, isn't it? So it is kind of like it's a life-changing
Absolutely.
event, for everybody, and at the same time that really does give us a bit of a shake, doesn't
massively,
it? And makes us think, hang on a minute, like you say, why am I doing this?
What's it all about?
What's it all about? What's the meaning and purpose of everything that I'm trying to do here? And is it helping me? Is it allowing me to have the life that I want and the life that I want for my family? I think that every entrepreneur will say many meanings and many reasons for setting up a business. One of the reasons is going to be so they can provide for their family, have a good standard of living, and be able to enjoy time with them. And many of us get guilty as charged as well. Get caught up in the loop of keeping on doing more and more, and before you realise it, you're doing those 50-hour weeks, and
that you said you were never going to do again.
That you move away from, because entrepreneurship is going to give you that. So there's no it's not easy being an entrepreneur, but at the same time there are ways that you can facilitate your business so that you can do the things that you want to do, and spend time with the people that need you, and that you want to spend time with as well. I think if you went to any child and said, what would you prefer, an afternoon out with your mum or your mum and dad, your parents, or you want that big shiny new object, one would hope that
they choose the quality time.
They choose the quality time.
I know. Well, I get presented with that quite a bit, because it's that battle, isn't it? I mean, we've just had like the school holidays, and obviously, I'm a work from home mom, and I obviously, parent full time and run the business, and it was that battle of the guilt. It's like the mom guilt, of I'm doing this because I want to provide a great life, and I want to I want us to be able to do all these wonderful things, and it's important to provide and show hard work to the children, but then at the same time they don't always get it, and they'll think, well, hang on, I can't tell you how many times my kids have said, like, Mum, can you just get off the laptop now?
Yes.
Can you do you have to take that call, or can you not, stop for today? And it's like, I would love to, but I have to, because for me, my commitment to my clients and my business is also very, very important. But of course, you ask any mom and they're going to say, family first, children first. And it is about finding that balance, 100%. But I think for me, people ask me kind of how did you do it? How did you keep all the plates spinning and keep it all going? And what I've really, really learned and identified is that actually helping people and being busy and being needed is what helps me.
Yes.
So that is my kind of therapy. It keeps me kind of in demand. I know that sounds really crazy, but that's what keeps me coping.
And it's proven, it's known that acts of service and helping others bring meaning, purpose into our lives as individuals, and they're fulfilling, and it leads to a fulfilled and satisfied life if you are doing things for other people. I think even more so in a situation like yours, where it helps you stay afloat, doesn't it? Keeps you sane.
Absolutely.
It keeps you busy as well, distracts, which is all good in relation to, obviously not not taking your eye off the ball or anything, but at the same time, if you sat in a corner the entire time thinking about that,
oh gosh, it would be a very, very different outcome, I think, definitely. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are times where we do still have to just stop.
That's needed.
We do still have to. I mean, we had a day with my daughter just this week, and it wasn't a good day, and it was like, okay, obviously picked her up from school. I could tell that she hadn't had a good day, and she was very emotional and very upset, and obviously really wanted that time to kind of just be in those feelings. So it was like, right, okay, well, laptop away, phone away. I'm not going to be distracted. We're going to be in these feelings. We're going to be in these emotions, and this is what we need to do right now. So there are still moments where we have to just stop. And I think you just have to know when to, because some days, particularly for my son, he doesn't like to kind of keep bringing it up and keep talking about it. So it's also navigating two totally different people on two totally different paths, and it's knowing to read the signs and to know, well, do we need to be present in this, or shall we stay busy in this, or it's just knowing to see the signs.
Absolutely. And it's about acknowledging that, like I say, it's good to distract and do things, and especially for other people, but at the same time you need to acknowledge that grief and work through it at the same time. And you can't predict what days it's going to come up, or
No, and you know, that's something that people have said to me a lot is, you know, when I talk about it, I always talk about it, you know, for the kids and staying busy and doing things for other people. And you know, I often get asked, but what about you?
Yeah.
What about you? But you know, for me, what I have started to implement, which is part of, you know, healing or dealing or what, you know, however you want to say it, but I have started implementing just moments in the day, whether it's the start of my day or the end of my day, where I do get into, you know, some meditation or, you know, some personal development, maybe an audio book, or so I'm more mindful now that I do need to take care of myself, because you can't be everything for everyone if you are empty and you're not filling your cup up, you know. So that is something I'm more conscious of, and I must say I do feel better having done that. So I think it is really important. You've just got to find, even if it's just like I say, moments, just find something positive to fill yourself back up, because then you've got more to give.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is something we should be doing anyway.
I know, yeah. I probably wasn't as kind to myself before, but I think, again, it puts things into perspective, and it's so strange because you start to think about everything differently, and you evaluate things differently, and you analyse things differently. And I think, just one thing I wasn't very good at was being compassionate to myself. And it's something I'm learning now, that is where I kind of get into my flow. That's where I get into my flow, is taking those moments to show myself some compassion, because I can't tell you how many days I find it really hard because I don't feel good. And you know,
it's a woman thing as well. We're not very compassionate on ourselves. And, you know, you touched on it a little bit earlier, that mum guilt.
It's a huge thing.
It is a huge thing, and you know, talk to any woman, any mother, and she'll tell you that she's gone through it at some point. And you know, like yourself, I'm a single parent. I've got 3 kids, and they're all very different, and they all have very different needs and demands, and they want different things. That, you know, they're obviously the different ages as well, and sometimes, often, I have to check myself and just make sure that I'm not bending over too much. Not too much. It's, you know, I can't fill every single role for them. You know, that's not my place, and I shouldn't.
But we try.
We try.
we try, and we need to remind ourselves that we don't have to be everything.
We don't have to be everything, and we have this urge to just want to come in and fix everything for them all the time, and they don't always want fixing. You know, and I learnt to just stop. Sometimes when I can see that they're going through something, or you know, they're angry or frustrated about something, and just stop and ask them, what is it that you want from me right now?
Absolutely.
Because in my head I'm saying, right, how to fix this?
It's
wrong, we need to fix it now. There's a problem, it needs to go away. But it's not always the case.
No, and I think that's really important what you've just said. That's something certainly more recently that, you know, particularly with my son, because he's more quiet and kind of keeps it in, and you know, kind of soldiers on, you know, looking for the signs and things like that. And I very often just say, you know, how are you feeling? Is there anything that I can do in this moment? But you know, and I just think it all comes down to communication. Rather than trying to solve it in your head, because you're preempting, you're over analysing, and actually sometimes you're building things up, you know, to more than they need to be sometimes as well.
And I think catastrophizing.
And I think that's
a middle name.
And I think that's our, you know, our anxieties and our worry and our need to get it right and fix everything. But I just think communication, you know, sometimes it's just a nice conversation, or just a nice little check-in. And that'll, you know, that's enough.
And let them know that there's a space for them to say what they want when they want. And it's not always at the most convenient time.
No, I know. Tell me about it.
You've got, like, well, when they become teenagers, certainly, I think it was Callum Moran that referred to this and said that there is a window of about 5 minutes once a month when your teenager will decide that they want to tell you everything that's going on in their head, and no matter what you're doing,
you better be ready to listen. You got to take it or leave it, because you're not getting it back.
You're not getting it back. So you're like, really?
Yeah, let's talk. Fantastic.
Yeah. So these things that you've brought in now, like the meditation and everything to help you get into flow. How has that impacted how you run your business now in comparison to how it was being run before?
I think for me, the key thing for me is clarity. It's brought clarity. It's something that I think I craved before. I think I was so busy and had so many different things and plates spinning and so many different distractions, but kind of post, all of this, I've never craved like just clarity and more simplicity, and like, let's not overcomplicate everything. It doesn't have to be so complicated and difficult and so busy all the time. You can get more done, by keeping it simple. So that's been a huge thing for me, is just finding clarity, and sometimes just being present for myself and just asking myself those questions. What is my purpose? What's the one thing I'm meant to be doing right now? What's the most important thing that I should be doing right now? So yeah, there's a lot to be taken from just being still and just finding some clarity. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because once I have those moments, I feel like like a weight's been lifted, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go again. We can have, let's say I do that in the morning, and then the day can go in all sorts of directions. So by the end of the day, I might not be feeling as but take those moments to reset, and it's unbelievable how much difference it makes.
And I think also another thing, like you say, what's my purpose, what's giving me meaning. I think you've also got to ask yourself, what's giving me joy? What is it that I do in my business and what my brand stands for that is joyful to me? Because that is when you're going to get into your flow. It's gonna have to have a little bit of a challenge, but you have to enjoy it at the end of the day, because if you don't, there's no way you get into your flow. Absolutely
no, definitely. And joy, passion, I think they're kind of very similar. And I've definitely been looking at those, looking within for those things, because as I say, when I sort of started out, the business realistically was, we can help any business and we'll do anything, whatever you need, and it's like, actually, you kind of grow through some of that. And I think obviously that, definitely the situation that we've been through has obviously made that more apparent and more present for me. But just kind of streamlining and pulling things back and saying, actually, I want to say no to that, because that actually isn't what I enjoy doing, and I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to really focus on what I enjoy, what I'm passionate about, and where I know we can bring the most value. And it's crazy how just when you start to really focus on that, just how everything starts to flow and fall into place.
It does, because the things that you don't realise how much some things can, suck up your energy that you don't want to be doing. It's also less confusing for clients because they know, oh, well, they're the ones that do that. I'm going to go to Wright Choice because I know that they do this really well. And you become known for that. So then you're much easier to refer to someone else. For your clients to refer you to someone else, and word spreads. So looking for someone, your name pops up automatically because there are a couple of things that you do really well.
There's a learning curve, isn't it? Because I think when you start out, you kind of think, well, you're a yes person. You think, well, I'll say yes and we'll get it done. And but you're absolutely right. I think it's about having more clarity on what do we do, why do we do it, how do we do it, and who do we do it for. And then it's just a more scalable proposition, isn't it? Rather than thinking, oh, but I don't want to turn that away, and why would I turn business down? And well, no, one thing I've really want to implement, and something I'm doing now, is having those collaborative partnerships and relationships with other businesses. So actually that's not really for me, but I know a fantastic person that would be perfect for you for that. You know, we don't have to have it all and keep it all to ourselves. Actually, it feels so much better to direct people to the right channels, and support each other. You know,
it's empowering in itself. It is to know, and to know that, you know, you've got this network of people who are really good at specific things, and you can refer your clients onto them. So then you become, you know, a good referrer, and someone who will go to as someone who knows lots of different disciplines, and can help people out, which again is that act of service, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know, that kind of fundamentally sums up my business and what we do. It's all about helping people. It's about supporting and helping, and you know, just promoting growth, you know, and all the rest of it. So if it's not necessarily something that we do internally, you know, it's there's somebody we can connect you with, and obviously we would only work with and recommend people that we know, like, and trust, you know. So
absolutely. So what would be your advice to people who are going through a difficult time, not sure what to do with their business, or having to take a little step back, to help them keep everything together and keep everything going while they do that, and maintain a successful business, or pause to then?
I would say my advice is, you know, there's no time scale, you know, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You know, ultimately the more pressure you put on yourself, the more things kind of, you know, fight back and fight against you. I think you've just got to allow yourself to just sit in whatever it is that's happening right now. Take the time that you need, and kind of go inward, you know, just, you know, ask yourself those questions. You know, is this where I want to be? Am I doing what I love to do? You know, and it's okay to change direction. It's okay to realign, you know, even if that means completely, you know, switching up what you were doing. I think often people are scared to change, because they think, oh my God, if I change this, people are going to think, well, she was doing that 1 minute now. But you've got to find your purpose, and you've got to find what feels right, because otherwise it's just a constant battle. So my advice would be just, you know, sit in those feelings, take that time, and be kind to yourself. Just be kind.
Self-compassion. We could all learn something from that, couldn't we? And take the time to do it. That's great advice. I've loved that. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today.
No, it's been wonderful. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and we will drop the links in the comments for anyone who wants to get in touch with Lianne and find out more about her business and her story. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.